She didn't cry when he hit her. But she cried when the nurse said they'd be sleeping in the waiting room, with her newborn in her arms. That was rock bottom. Or so she thought, until a stranger with a sharp suit and warm eyes did something no one ever had. Part 1, A Bruised Beginning. The rain had been pouring for hours, merciless, like the life Amanda had known for the past 3 years. With her 4-day-old son clutched to her chest and bruises blooming across her arms, she stood barefoot outside a small hospital in the dead of night. Her hospital gown was soaked. Her shoes, purse, and dignity had all been left behind in a house that was no longer hers. Amanda used to be full of dreams. A talented photographer, an honors student, and the kind of girl who made plans for the future with color-coded notebooks. But love has a way of disarming even the brightest minds. She met Calvin in college. Handsome, charming, and persuasive, he swept her off her feet. By the time she realized his charm came with a price, a temper, a need to control, fists that followed words, it was too late. Her friends had faded away, and her family had long stopped answering her calls. Now, there she was. Alone, with a baby she wasn't sure she could protect, in a world that suddenly felt too big. Inside the hospital, the nurse behind the desk looked exhausted. Amanda's voice trembled. "Can we stay here, just for the night?" The nurse gave her a soft glance, sympathy in her eyes but rules in her heart. "We don't have space in the ward. You can sit in the waiting room, but—" "I'm sorry, that's all I can do." Amanda nodded, lips pressed into a thin line. She didn't cry. She just walked to a corner of the room, wrapped her arms tighter around her baby, and rocked him slowly, whispering apologies he was too young to understand. Part 2, The Man in the Suit. At 3:14 a.m., the hospital doors slid open. A tall man stepped in, wearing an expensive-looking charcoal suit and carrying an umbrella. His leather shoes echoed in the quiet room. He looked out of place, like he belonged in a penthouse, not a poorly lit ER. He walked to the front desk but paused when he spotted Amanda. Soaking wet. Shivering. Humming a lullaby with a cracked voice. She didn't notice him at first. She was too busy gently bouncing the baby, trying to keep him asleep. "Excuse me," the man said to the nurse. "What happened to her?" The nurse hesitated. "She came in tonight. No ID. Said she just gave birth and left an abusive home. She has nowhere to go." "Is she safe?" he asked. "Physically? Yes. But she has nothing. No home. No money. Just the baby." The man turned and approached Amanda slowly. She looked up, wary. He took off his jacket and offered it to her. "You're freezing," he said. She didn't take it right away. "Who are you?" she asked, voice hoarse. "Just someone who doesn't believe any mother should be sitting on the floor in the middle of the night with a newborn," he said. There was a long pause. Finally, she reached out and took the jacket. It smelled of cologne and rain. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have somewhere to go?" he asked. She shook her head. "Then you're coming with me." Part 3, A Strange Offer. Amanda sat in the back seat of the sleek black car, still cradling her baby. She didn't say much. Neither did the man. But the silence was warm, not awkward. Peaceful. He dropped her off at a modest guesthouse, one of many properties he owned, and paid the staff double to care for her without asking questions. The next morning, she found breakfast waiting outside the door. And beside it, a note. "Rest. You're safe. Call me when you're ready. Daniel." It was only then that she realized, she didn't even know his last name. Part 4, The Climb. Over the next few weeks, Amanda slowly pieced herself back together. Daniel visited every few days, never too long, never too imposing. He brought diapers, blankets, and bottles. He brought books on photography when she confessed it used to be her passion. And once, he brought her old camera. "How did you?" she gasped. "I bought it off someone who owed me a favor. Said he got it from a pawn shop in your town." Amanda broke down then, not because of the camera, but because someone had cared enough to find it. She told Daniel her story in fragments. About Calvin. About losing her family. About the baby she named Elijah, who became her only reason to keep breathing. Daniel never judged. He just listened. One day, he said, "Why don't you come work for me? My company's always looking for photographers. You have talent." She hesitated. "I don't even have a resume." "You have strength," he said. "That's more valuable." Part 5, Redemption. Amanda took the job. Slowly, she began to heal. Daniel's company specialized in real estate and development, but he had a philanthropic heart. He supported women's shelters, funded rehab centers, and hosted silent auctions that raised millions. Amanda started small, staff headshots, office events. But soon, her photos began to tell stories. Raw. Emotional. Human. And people noticed. Within a year, she was leading the media division. Within 2, she was speaking at women's empowerment events, sharing her story, not as a victim, but as a survivor. She even found the courage to call her mother again. To reconnect. To forgive. Calvin was arrested months later after assaulting another woman. Amanda testified. And won. Part 6, The Full Circle. 3 years after that rainy night, Amanda stood on a stage, holding Elijah's hand. A banner behind her read, "From Broken to Bold, a night of stories that heal." The crowd applauded as she shared her journey. And at the end, she looked toward the front row. Where Daniel sat, no longer just a stranger in a suit, but a friend who had once given her a jacket and a chance. "I used to think no one would ever care," she said, voice steady. "But one act of kindness changed everything. He didn't just give me shelter. He gave me back my name, my dream, my life." The audience rose in a standing ovation. Amanda smiled through tears. Elijah looked up at her and asked, "Mama, is that the man who saved us?" She nodded. "That's him." Daniel stood quietly, wiping a tear from his cheek. The final message. Kindness doesn't always come in grand gestures. Sometimes, it's a jacket on a cold night. A listening ear. A belief in someone who's forgotten how to believe in herself. Amanda's story is proof that rock bottom is not the end, it's the start of a climb that leads to something greater. And sometimes, all it takes, is one person who refuses to look away.